Howdy, everyone. This is pretty crazy, really. I'll be honest, I miss going to school, I miss seeing you guys and other teachers, and um, just, enjoying the learning environment and having a good time, and, just teasing and everything else that goes on. So, anyways, so I wanted to give you the kind of rundown here of some things for this week. Here we go. So, so we're going to completely wrap up the evolution unit here over the course of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So you're doing number one right now. You're watching me go over these things and talk about the stuff. What I want you to do first is watch a quick video, crash course video about human hominid evolution. And then there's an activity. It's a different thing. It's an online kind of web activity where you watch different videos and look at things and answer some questions. So that's the second thing. And then after that, it's really just kind of studying for our evolution test. So there's a module. If you go to the modules, it's the first module. It's got all kinds of things in it to review and study from. Then there's an actual study guide that I want you to do. There's a link for it right here. There's also a link for it over here on your announcements and reminders. As far as the test goes, I'm going to have you take that Wednesday or Thursday, I guess, kind of up to you. I don't know. I'll have to double check that. I think I might have to set an actual date for it. So it'll probably be Wednesday. And, we'll just do it like we normally do. It'll be on Canvas, and you'll need to do your lockdown browser for it. And, there'll be like a time limit. I guess I really don't mind if you're going to look at information or resources, your notes, whatever, that's okay. But just understand that there will be a time limit on it. I think I'll probably set it at about 75 minutes, 80 minutes, something like that. So there will be a time limit that you have to answer and complete it in. So just keep that in mind. So, and that'll be posted on Wednesday, and I'll have the time on it and everything for that. So, so that's kind of should take us through, like Thursday, I guess, and we'll start a little ecology stuff after that. Okay, I did want to show you a quick kind of intro to what we're talking about here with the hominid evolution stuff. So it's this idea of what actually is a hominid. So I hope you really think about the things that you watch and see so you understand what a hominid is. I guess I would just leave you with, that these things, a lot of people don't know much about them, but they did exist. And I just want you to maybe think about what you think they are. And just kind of make your own conclusions from that. One of my students quite a while ago snuck this in here. I don't know. I guess they thought I was a primitive hominid, and they were obsessed with my mullet that I had back in the 80s. So they got me this hat, and good times. So wanted to emphasize this again. I showed you this picture of this kind of very well published picture of like a monkey, and then a chimp and a gorilla, and then finally a human, and this kind of idea that we evolved from monkeys. It's not the way that biologists view human evolution. These are our relatives. We did not evolve from modern chimps or gorillas or monkeys. So let's take a look at, a little more about this stuff. Now, typically, we would really get into the anatomy of hominids, but I will just say that, let me see if I have some things. Yeah, I guess I do. So, her name is a famous, you probably heard of a fossil named Lucy. It was discovered by some paleontologists and anthropologists back in the 70s in Eastern Africa. There's a really well-known gorge in that area of the world where a rift valley, an opening, which is spreading. It'll eventually be part of the ocean, but right now, geologically, it just opened up a gorge and kind of exposed a lot of rock layers from the time period of hominid existence, from 10 million years ago till now. And you can see, that's just a great place to hunt for these types of fossils. And that's where they were really focused on finding hominids. And this was one of the first discoveries of a pretty good hominid fossil. There's been many more of this species called Australopithecus afarensis discovered since then. But anyways, the basic gist of she is female, and understand those things from the pelvic structure. She was bipedal, walked on 2 feet. Had features that are sort of ape-like, but also human-like in terms of the brain size, sort of somewhere in between, the slope or angle of the face, again, somewhere in between, the teeth structure. Arms were about the same length as legs, and this has been shown in other fossils of her species that have been found since then. So that's her, the bones that were actually found at that time of her. If you want to see an example of it, go to Cleveland Museum of Natural History. They have a great hominid collection there, and they have a replica. They were actually a big funder, the source of money for the digs that were going on back in the 70s there that led to Lucy's discovery. So this just shows you like how, a way to determine whether something, if you find one of these fossils, determine whether what you're looking at is an ape, the gorilla, or a chimpanzee, or if it's, something else. And some things that the paleontologists and anatomists look at is some things listed here: the shape of the spine. It's in an upright walking bipedal, walking on 2 legs. It's got an S shape to it, whereas a gorilla or chimpanzee, there's a C shape to the spine, and where the spine enters the skull is really important too. On a chimp or gorilla, it enters in the back of the skull, so that the as they're walking on all fours, the eyes will point forward. And in a hominid or a bipedal animal, the spine goes into the skull underneath, so that the skull sort of sits on top of the spine. So when walking on 2 legs, your eyes are facing forward. Again, with apes, arms are usually longer. Well, they are longer than the legs. Hominids, arms are usually shorter or the same length. And the pelvic structure in an ape that's long and narrow, and in a hominid it's wider, and that has to do with muscle structure of the legs for walking on 2 legs. This is just another summary of that stuff too. Again, looking at things like posture between humans and apes, leg and arm length, feet. For example, humans, all the toes point forward. There is no opposable big toe like we have an opposable thumb, or an ape, or they also have an opposable toe on their foot. Ours all face forward, and our feet, teeth, things, just lots of different stuff. So there's big canine teeth, these in the ape, and not so much in humans. They're much smaller. Slope of the face, brain size, so the capacity inside the cranium. So these are the kinds of things that you look at. This again, which I was showing you. Let's get back here. This is this hole where the spine enters the skull. On a human, it enters underneath the skull, and on an ape, it enters the back of the skull. And again, that has to do with how the skull sits on the spine, on top or hanging off the front. And these are X-rays of different hominid species, where you can see the spine enters the skull underneath, and all of these are other examples of different hominid fossils that have been found. And this is sort of like what you made with the little crustaceous animals. Paleontologists do the same thing with these. They find what time period they're from, and then arrange them vertically by time and try to piece together which ones are related to others. Here would be us up here. And these are different, lots of different species that have been discovered. That's a Neanderthal skull on the left and a modern human like us on the right. This is just another kind of a couple different views of how different hominids are related. Then here's another one. So that's it. And so the things you're going to watch and the activity you're going to do has to do with this. But I guess to sum this up, when these hominids fossils are discovered, they kind of look at all these different things. Look at the cranial capacity, how big is the brain, what are the teeth structure like, what's the angle of the face, where does the spine enter the skull, is it a bipedal or a quadrupedal animal? By, again, looking at, do all the toes point forward, or the legs longer than the arms? What's the pelvic structure like? These are all things that would tell you how the animal walked. So when they're discovered, you just kind of, decide, this thing is a bipedal animal, walked on two legs, had a decent sized brain, had teeth like modern humans. So, can we call these extinct species hominids? And there's many different ones. So, all right, have fun.